Gary Allan has a brand new project. We're going to talk about it coming up. This episode of Connected with Kelly is sponsored by Pickers Vodka, proudly made in Nashville, Tennessee. So Pickers is a tribute to the musicians whose sounds fill the air in Music City. Pickers Vodka is distilled 11 times from non-GMO corn, and it's gluten-free. My new favorite is the Pickers Unplugged Vodka Soda. They're in cans. They are only 96 calories, 0 carbs, great flavors. You need to give them a try. Visit pickersvodka.com to find out more or to order online. Hey, y'all. Welcome to this episode of Connected with Kelly. We are chatting with Gary Allan. The early 2000s, man, there was nobody I loved hearing more on the radio. Such unique, amazing voice. It's been 8 years since he's had a new project, but he is back with Ruthless, and we are about to dive in talking about new music and how he spent most of quarantine on a boat. Let's get connected with Gary Allan. Man, it's so good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing good. We're just getting back to work, so I'm fired up.
I guarantee you're fired up. You've got some amazing songs. I want to talk about the album, but let's first just kind of dissect what quarantine was like for you, because you're used to being on the road, you're used to doing the shows. So what was that time of being still like?
You know, for the first part of it, I just kind of hid at my house. I didn't leave the peninsula. I was washing my vegetables and spraying down anything that came into my house till we figured out what this was. And then towards the end, for the last 3-4 months, I had went to a friend's boat out in the Dominican Republic and lived on a dock and fished and kind of stayed away from everybody that way, and told my manager I'll be back when there's a vaccine. And then one day he called me and said, I can get you a shot. And I said, I'll get on a plane.
I love it. So you really kind of took advantage of the fact that you could be, in the DR, and how beautiful it was there.
It was so beautiful. That was never even on my radar. I had a friend that he sold all of his stuff right when the pandemic started. And he said, I'm going to buy a boat and I'm not coming back. And he bought a big old 100-foot yacht and towed tows along a 30-foot fishing boat. And it took me a year before I would fly out. He would ask me every day, come on, man, there's nobody here. And eventually I went and spent the last 3-4 months there, and it was a blast. So it was a good way to unwind right before we came back and started back.
What was that time like? Did you feel inspiration there? Did you kind of recharge your batteries? Or were you like, you know what, I'm not even worried about writing right now. I'm just going to enjoy.
It was that. For the first part of it, I was kind of in a funk. I finished the record before I left, or before it all started. I had went to Africa in like January, February. When I got back, I finished all the vocals, and then we started back on the road. And I think I did 2 or 3 shows, and everything shut down. And so I was already in the cycle of ready to go out and enjoy it. So I didn't write much. I was kind of in a funk. It bothered me at first. I got to have a little bit of summer, but by the time winter, came, and then the next winter, it was good to just get out of town for a minute.
Absolutely. I back up. I want to hear about this trip to Africa. That's like on my bucket list for sure. So what was that like? Especially you did it like right before the world shut down, right?
Yeah, which ended up being a great big advantage because everybody canceled. So me and my girlfriend Molly, it was only us and a guide, and we did 15 days. I think we flew 7 times on the little like bush planes.
Yeah.
But stayed at it was like glamping. Stayed at really nice camps. They set up really elaborate lunches and dinners for us. One of the hotels that we were at was the Four Seasons in the Serengeti, to where there was like elephants and giraffes coming up to these natural, water pools. Got to see lions and giraffes and elephants and hyenas and zebras and just the circle of life. It was life-changing. We got to meet the Maasai tribe and go into their village and talk to them. It was cool because the pandemic wasn't there yet. And it was still kind of I wonder what that is, watching the news. But we flew through I've stayed in Amsterdam for a week before, and we came back through all the places that it was coming through. We didn't wear masks, but we were definitely washing down everything.
Right. When you do things like that, when you travel, when you meet, different people, what does that do to you as a person? Because I always come back a little changed, a little different. Your perspective changes for sure. I can't imagine sitting with the Maasai tribe and seeing how much joy and love there is within that people, and then taking that home. You're like, they have less than most, but they are so happy.
And they're so proud. They're so proud to show you their village,
Right.
And just crazy to see how people live. The Maasai tribe, they only eat meat and drink cow blood. They only eat cows. There's no veggies in their diet. It's just crazy to see how some people live. And I always feel that way anytime I travel too. You always come back a little changed, and just saying that the way we do it isn't the only way to do it. So it just gives you a good perspective on life. I mean, I love being an American. I love what we have, but it's always great just to go to other countries, and you just grow so much from it.
I want to talk about the album Ruthless. First of all, cover art. What is this? Where did this come from? I looked at it. I'm like, okay, that is very interesting. Give me the details.
That has been my logo for a long time. It was originally one of my guitar players before I had a record contract. So way back there, had cut out that Bronc guy, and it kind of looked like the Wyoming, little cutout of a Bronc guy. And it was in window tint, and it was stuck to my guitar. And when it fell off, it kind of looked like it had bones in it. And that's what gave me the idea. And I went to art college and had a contest, and nobody could really do it. And eventually I went to a tattoo artist that I liked named Christine in Huntington Beach Tattoo. And I was describing to her what I wanted, and she drew that in about 5 minutes while she was talking to me. And she spun it around and went, is that something like that? And I go, yes. Can I just buy that? Wrote her a check for $500, and that was my logo.
I love these stories. These are the stories that we need to know. Let's go with title song Ruthless. When I'm listening to it, I just immediately was like, okay, this is what I've been missing from Gary. This is what we need right now on radio, to have your voice, those lyrics. Give me some more detail about Ruthless.
Ruthless. The song or the album? I feel like the album was a cumulative of the last 7-8 years. This is kind of a blending of 3 projects. I'd turned in a bunch of songs. The beauty of it is that I turned in probably 28 songs, and I got to narrow 28 songs down to 13. So I think the album is a lot stronger just because of that, because I over recorded. I kept thinking I had it, and the label was going to jump up and down, and music was changing a lot back then. It was a lot through the bro country thing. And we just couldn't get traction with a single that sounded like it was out of the 90s. But now this 90s thing is coming back. So we just kind of dragged our feet until that went away a little bit. And when this 90s thing came back, I put together the whole band that we did Smoke Rings in the Dark with. Got Tony Brown, and I got Mark Wright, and I got that entire band, and we went back and just swung right at that sound. And I think it sounds like that. The last 6 tracks that we did, that's Ruthless and The Waste of a Whiskey Drink, those ones.
I love that. And I'm looking at this, and I'm going down through it, and I'm like, oh my God, high as I've ever been. That has such a good 90s feel to it. Temptation, I've listened to at least 4 times. So clever. I want some of the detail on what was going on with Temptation. Is that something that you had a hand in? Because I know you co-produced some of these. You have a lot of producers. This is like producer gumbo on this album, right?
Yeah, because like I said, it was 3 projects. So there was a project that I did with Jay Joyce, and a project that I did by myself, and then there was a project that I did with Mark and Tony. And I tried to go back and pull the ones. A lot of people, and I do it too, you always want to write all the songs, but I tried to get that out of my head. And I just went back and I just put those 28, 30 songs on rotate in my house. And those are the ones that shined. Eventually those 13, I was like, this is it. This has to be the record.
And going down and listening to this, the thing that I really love the most about it too is the layout of this album and hearing it, because it is like listening to a book, and you're turning the page and you're hearing these songs, and I know that is intentional. How much time do you spend in looking at where you're going to place each song?
A lot. In fact, some people laugh at me because they say that nobody buys albums anymore.
Yes,
But
we
to me,
do. Yes,
yes,
we do.
to me, it has to lay out like a show. You can't show all your cards at once. You can't come out swinging as hard as you can. You have to tease, and that way there's something left at the end. So I very much think about it as a show. Like if I would have those are the 13 songs I was going to play, that would be the order. And I feel like you can't start out with songs like Hard Way, and you can't start out with songs like Unfiltered, because it puts too much of a tone to it. So I think Temptation was a great way to start it.
I also really want to talk to you about Little Glass of Wine. I heard it and I'm like, wait, I know this song. And I go back and then I'm like, oh, okay. I remember hearing Kathy Mattea version, but then I even went deeper and I found the Jesse Winchester version of it. And because of you putting this on here, I am now turned on to Jesse Winchester, and I'd never heard him before. And oh my God, how amazing. Yeah.
Did you get the Live from the Mountaintop
Yes.
CD? Yeah.
Yes.
That's where Showman's Life came from. Yeah, he was Jamie O'Hara's favorite songwriter ever. And that's what made me get into him. And I'm really sorry that I never got to see him play, because I heard he would do acoustic shows, but in the middle of his acoustic show by himself, he would get up and do interpretive dance. And I heard it was the wildest thing to watch, but it didn't seem weird, but it was just, yeah, I just heard he was just amazing to watch. But yeah, one of my favorite artists.
Yeah, why was it important for you to put that song on this album?
You know, my manager always, he was always saying, I don't know why you put stuff like that on there, but like going way back to my records, there's a song called Adobe Walls that's kind of in that same old timey vibe, and songs like that just really speak to me. And I love wine, and I think it's the best wine song I've ever heard.
That's enough for me. I love that too. I'm right there with you, brother. I'll have a glass any day. In looking at this overall, it is so much of what we know and love about you and your voice. It showcases your voice so beautifully. Is there a song that in particular, after recording it, you hear it and you're like, God, that to me really stands out as one of my best vocals?
I think Little Glass of Wine. I love that. And Ruthless. I think on Ruthless, I like the soulful stuff too. I'm super proud of all this. Like I said, it was because it was the cream of all the other projects. So I feel like there was so much to choose from.
I just read an article from a good friend that said there are so many amazing 90s country artists who are gaining a second wind, and your name was mentioned. And I love the way that was phrased. I'm like, absolutely gaining that second wind. What is it about this time around that's different? Feels different? Are you different?
I don't think I'm different. I truly blame like the time of it on the whole bro country thing, because I literally just dragged my feet through that and thought I recorded a couple things, and when I tried to fit into that, it just sounded like I was trying to fit into that. And one of the hardest things when you're around for a long time is not to get jaded. So to always look at it with an open heart and say, how do I fit into this? And I really couldn't see myself fitting into that. So when this 90s thing came back, I thought, that's my bag, baby. we're gonna go right at it. So I put the old band together, and so to speak, and went for the old producers and did exactly that. And it felt so good. It felt so right. And it was like a big old reunion.
You mentioned not getting jaded. How do you not get jaded? Because you've been in this industry 24 years.
Yeah, it's hard, especially when you hear music coming out that you don't like, and I guess there's always been that. Even during my phase, I was pitched songs that I thought, wow, that's a hit, but I don't want to be responsible for it. You know what I mean? There was lots of those. So yeah, when you see your whole genre start to turn in a direction that you don't understand, that was more what it was. I was just more confused by how do I fit into that? Yeah. And then eventually you learn you don't have to. There's so many outlets now, and can't let other people decide what you should be doing, or define how you're awesome. Does that make sense?
It absolutely makes sense. I know you've got live shows coming up. Give me a little insight on what that's like. Have you already played this year?
Yeah, we've just finished our 5th one. So super pumped. The fans you can tell they've been pent up. They're singing louder than they ever have. I'm fired up to get out there because it's been so long for me. So yeah, the whole thing is just a massive rush, and it's been so fun, and it's exciting to bring new music at the same time. So yeah, I'm excited for everybody to hear this, and I'm excited to play it for you.
Cannot wait, man. Congratulations. This is amazing. And I'm so glad you're back.
Thank you. Good to talk to you.
All right. That new album is Ruthless from Gary Allan. I want to know your favorite Gary Allan song. You can put it below in the comments. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell. That way you'll be notified when we put out new videos each and every week. Until the next time, make sure you're staying connected with all the people and things you love the most.